Why are you seeking re-election to the Sioux City Council?
Well, I'm seeking re-election this year to continue contributing on a consistent manner, I might add, the development of Sioux City, the economic development and the other developments that we have going on. I thoroughly enjoy serving the citizens of Sioux City. I think I do a good job. I think I'm responsive, and I think I also am a good listener.
Let's kind of expand a little bit on those qualities. Talk about the experience, skills that you possess that you think makes you a good representative of the citizens of Sioux City, and what do you think sets you apart from other candidates?
That's a good question, and I appreciate receiving that. I think what sets me apart and what my qualifications would include is my law background. And I do my homework week in and week out. I read all of the materials, I study them, I try to find a better way to maybe resolve issues, make suggestions, have vision for the future of Sioux City. And that has helped me. Having those skills as a lawyer has helped me serve the citizens of Sioux City well, I believe. And I think that I have high energy for that type of work. And I love Sioux City. I love serving, and it's something that I just have infinite energy to serve the people.
What have you accomplished on the council that you are most proud of, and why should the citizens of Sioux City vote to re-elect you?
Well, there's so many things. This is what's changed over the years since I came to Sioux City 44 years ago in 1977. There's so many good developments, so many good things going on. So, for example, the downtown area has just we've had a resurgence of the downtown area. It's beautiful. We have a lot of activities. We have the Orpheum Theater. We have the Sioux City Museum. We have the Sioux City Art Center. There's so much to do downtown Sioux City. We even have a downtown park, a couple of parks in downtown Sioux City. And so I think I take great pride in that. I think we have done a lot to develop the downtown Sioux City. But we've also have expanded throughout the city, throughout the community, and we've grown those other communities. We've grown the West Side leads, Morningside, North Side, and we continue to develop those in a very consistent way. One thing that we are focusing on that I am very proud of is that we are starting to and have made as a priority our infrastructure improvements, including the streets, the paving, the overlays, the reconstructing of our streets. We've really given that priority, the priority it should have, because we're playing catch up. And then also with our utilities, the water and sewer utilities. We're updating those. They need to be updated. We're tired of water main breaks. And so I'm very proud of the infrastructure improvements that we've made the past 4 years and that we're looking forward to and that we've committed for this coming year in our capital improvements program budget.
Looking back on your time on the council, is there anything you would do differently? Are there any votes that maybe you would change?
I think my voting has been consistent with the economic development and the progress we've made in Sioux City. There were some votes that I made based on the information I had because I actually did some research and I did some interviewing and learned about the issues, learned about what the projects were. Those kind of votes where I might have voted against a big project that involved infrastructure improvements was a difficult one for me because I wanted to see that infrastructure improvement, but I thought the taxpayers were going to be shorted on the project and on the cost, and I could not in good conscience vote for something where the engineers' costs, the estimates of the project were not, in my opinion, were not accurate.
If you are reelected, what will your top priorities be?
Well, my top priorities continue to be the infrastructure improvements, the streets and the utilities that I've talked about. Equally important are the quality of life enhancements. I take pride in our city parks. We've updated our city parks. We're maintaining our city parks. One thing that that I emphasize is whenever we undertake a project, Cone Park, for example. Cone Park is a beautiful place, but we have to make sure we have in our budget funds to maintain Cone Park so that it will always be kept up to date, it'll always look like new, and it will not be run down or have to be replaced in a few years. So I want to continue to do the quality of life enhancements. Our trails, the trail system, in the past 7 years we have completed 9 trail links. So we're making the trails connect so that we can go from one place to the other. We just had a ribbon cutting this past week that I'm really proud of, where we can now take a trail, recreational trail, from South Morningside out to Riverside. And so those kind of improvements are important to me. I think the other thing I want to emphasize is not only do I want to keep families in Sioux City, but I want to bring families and people into Sioux City. I want people to move here because it's a great place to live, work, and play. And to accomplish that, we need such amenities such as parks and recreational trails. We need recycling programs. We need to have a thriving downtown area for people to congregate and meet. The restaurants that we have, the theaters that we have, all of that is good. The convention center is second to none. It's spectacular, and I really take pride in that development as well.
In March, the council approved a budget plan that reduces the city's share of residential property owners' tax bills. However, residential property valuations continue to increase. Is there more that you can do or plan to do to reduce the burden that taxpayers are feeling?
You know, that's always been that's an annual problem, and the city council has done a really good job keeping the tax levy keeping the tax levy either at the same level or reducing it, and we take great pride in that. What happens, and what's happened the past couple of years, is that the marketplace there's a high demand for housing. That's another project we have to work on, by the way. Not only do we have a labor workforce shortage, we need to build on that. We also have affordable housing. We need more affordable housing, and we also need to have daycare. That's equally important to the three-prong test that I look at. But with the tax levy being either the same or lowered, when there's a high demand for housing units, that drives the prices up. So the assessed values go up, and that in turn will increase the tax bills. That's a very difficult problem for local councils to deal with because it's state law. There are equalization orders that are issued where we have to have the fair market value should be 100% of what a seller is willing to sell, buyers willing to buy at that price. So, and I wouldn't want to see a depressed market. I wouldn't want to see the prices go down. I think that would hurt us. So somehow we still have to keep the level of services that we provide, governmental services to the citizens. We have to keep that at the same level and still try to do it as cost efficiently as we possibly can.
You have tried to find a middle ground on the issue of fireworks, spearheading a public service campaign to limit illegal fireworks discharge. But some residents say it wasn't effective. Where do you currently stand on the issue of fireworks?
The issue of fireworks, ever since I came to Sioux City in 1977, fireworks have been an issue. And that was well before 4 years ago when the state of Iowa legalized the sale of fireworks. And that's an ongoing problem. I think to say that for at least for the 44 years that I've been here, to say that we could turn that around in 1 year, I think will take us a little bit longer to do that. I think we have a good compromise that we're allowing fireworks to be discharged within the city limits for 2 days in the summertime, for July 3rd and July 4th. I think our PSAs, our public service announcements, went a long way to tell everyone, educate everyone what those hours of discharge can be, and not to do it before, not to do it after. I think we should continue on that path. I think we need to probably look at increasing our fines that we issue to people that insist on discharging fireworks at the illegal or the wrong times or not the allowed times. And I think we can get there. The real problem I struggle with is if we ban fireworks, the discharge of fireworks, we still have the sale of fireworks and we're still going to have fireworks going off. If we give people, because a lot of people I've talked with, there's probably as many people on the side of let's have a couple of days where we can celebrate, and we'll do it in a very respectful and proper way. There are as many people on that side as there are that are saying we should just ban fireworks altogether. So I think the 2 days is a good compromise that will give us an opportunity to do it right. And I think this community can do it right. Sioux City have always risen to the occasion. Whenever we've had difficult times, whenever there's been trouble, we always come and we come together. And I think we will on the fireworks. I think we can do that. I'm very optimistic that we will be able to accomplish that goal and not have the enforcement issues that we've had year after year after year.
Sioux City's population is growing and becoming more diverse based on recently released census data. How inclusive do you think Sioux City is? What, if any, improvements do you think can be made to make it more welcoming?
I think that the Sioux City is growing and we have a diverse community, no question about it. I think there needs to be an awareness of that diversity. We need to embrace it, we need to honor it. And I think we're doing that with our Inclusive Sioux City committee that has been formed recently, where we can talk about what issues there are, and we can do that up front, and we can do it openly, and we can do it honestly with each other. And so I think we will grow from that committee, the Inclusive Sioux City Committee. I think it will contribute significantly to embracing the diversity that we have in our community. There have been other groups as well, just as an aside. The seniors, for example, did not really have a place at the table. We have 45 boards and committees that help guide city government business and also help the city council and the mayor with recommendations, suggestions, that kind of thing. So of recent, we formed the Seniors Advisory Committee to have a place at the table, to have a voice, and be able to talk about the issues that the seniors have. Inclusive Sioux City is similar. They have a voice, and we need to give everyone a voice. Everyone should have a place at the table so that we can discuss what those issues are and not just ignore them. I think we'll become more and more so than we are now. I think we're already there we're a friendly community for diversity. I think we're a friendly community with seniors. We're a friendly community for bringing in young families, and we care about the people that are here.
Riverfront development is underway, but there hasn't been a final decision on what the iconic feature will be. Different ideas have been floated, including a pedestrian bridge that could cost millions of dollars. What would you like to see?
I would like to see I would like to see an iconic feature on the riverfront that reflects who and what Sioux City is. I think it's important that it ties in with our culture, it ties in with our history, and I'm not sure what that would be. It needs to be, I think it has to be iconic, that feature that is also provides entertainment. I also think, and this has been true from the very start, that it needs to be funded by private funds, private donations. And we've tried to make that clear. So we've looked at a Ferris wheel. I thought a Ferris wheel might be that feature. I'm not sure, but I thought it might be that feature. But I think we need to have not only the funds privately raised that would purchase or pay for that cost, but we also need to get into the maintenance of that item, whatever the iconic feature is. We've looked at waterfalls with lighting. We've looked at, as you've mentioned, we looked at the pedestrian bridge. That was drawn in the plans as a concept from the beginning, and it's been there, but it's extremely costly to have that. But it's a feature that I think we could all be proud of. We're a tri-state area, and as an example, our airport, for example, is used by many communities. It's tri-state, and maybe we need to be looking at a tri-state type of feature, iconic feature that would reflect not only what and who Sioux City is, but maybe what the Siouxland region is.
Mayor Bob Scott, before voting against a total contribution of $200,000 to the Sioux City Regional Convention Visitors Bureau, said he didn't want to buy next year's council with a $100,000 contribution. Now you voted for this.
Yes.
Tell me why you voted for it.
Yeah, I think our tourism board is a very important component of the success of Sioux City. We need to boost and be proud of tourism. We need to do what we can, and that's the kind of money it's going to take to do it right, and I think it will pay off in the long run. And I think we need to be very, very active in that area, in that arena, and I think we're becoming more so. It was a little bit slow getting off the ground. There were a lot of moving parts that needed to be brought together so that it would be successful. And so that's why I supported it, and I would continue to support it. I think it's very healthy to have a tourism board that can promote Sioux City and market Sioux City.
Concerns about the treatment of Sioux City's homeless have been raised. What do you think the council can do to address homelessness in Sioux City?
Well, the council has taken many positive steps in the direction of finding housing for the homeless. We've been very successful with some programs, and I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but somewhere around 60 or 70 have been placed in housing units. So we are making progress there. I think we need to have a plan that will address something that is more long range, that would have an impact of actually doing more than just something temporary where the homeless population would still continue to come back or fall back into a situation that they don't want to be in as well. Now some do, but many do not. So I think if we continue with writing for and being successful, getting grants from HUD to help us with the expenses of placing homeless people into housing situations, trying to find jobs for them, trying to unite them with families, that can be a very, very healthy thing for the homeless. They have families, and those that want to be reunited, I think we could also take steps in that direction as well.
Are there any specific issues that you think the city should seek support from the state on?
Well, I do, and one came from the Seniors Advisory Committee, and that is our tax structure, property tax structure. Seniors more and more, we're living longer, healthier, and they want, and everyone wants to stay in their homes for as long as they can. But they do have the expenses. They have insurance coverage. They have property taxes. Well, the state could help us by looking at what our property tax statutes are, and could we give some kind of a break to our seniors. There are other states around the country that have that kind of program, and I think we need to ask the state and put on our affirmative legislative agenda to take a look at the property tax structure for our seniors.
There's certainly demand for housing in Sioux City. what would you consider affordable housing as far as single-family homes, rentals, and what do you plan to do to create that?
Well, here's my plan on that. I have asked for and have received a couple of definitions of affordable housing. And it all ties into an equation or a computation of what a person's median income is and taking a percentage of that and then taking a percentage of that number to come up with what would the housing, what's affordable for that family of 4, family of 2, could be family of 6. But there are some guidelines there. I would like to refine those and then convert that to, so what would be your monthly expense for the housing? And encourage developers, and maybe the city needs to be more involved in this, but the developers, those that build houses, those that form subdivision plans, they know how it's done. They know what to do. They know how to get the infrastructure in. And so encourage them to build affordable housing units. We could partner with them, the city could partner with them by contributing to the infrastructure itself, the streets, the utilities, and that would help hold down the price of the lots themselves, and then they could construct houses that would be equal or equivalent to what a family of 4, for example, could afford. But I think that has to be spelled out. We talk about affordable housing, I've talked about it today, but what is it really? What does that really mean? We need to get a really good definition.
Citizens have commented on you abstaining from voting due to conflicts of interest. How can you be an effective council member if you have to abstain more than most?
Well, I'm not sure. I guess I don't need to get into the issue whether I abstained more than most in the past. There have been past council members that have had to abstain on items because they're very involved, they're very active in the community. But when I first ran, I was very upfront with the 2 major clients my firm has, and that I would be abstaining on issues involving those 2 clients. And I've held true to that. I think abstaining is a very important component for elected officials to have to avoid conflicts of interest. As a lawyer, I think maybe sometimes I go by appearance. Is there an appearance of conflict, and how do I deal with that? But if you look back on where I abstained, it's mainly on the 2 major clients that my law firm has. And then that gets tripled sometimes. So for example, if one of the major clients has an item before the council where we have to give 3 readings, that would be on the first reading and on the second, third reading. Or if we have to go into closed session, I could have as many as 3 or 4 abstentions in one council meeting, but it involves the one client. But I'm very mindful, and I'm not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize my license to practice law. So I'm very astute, very keen on conflicts, and I think it's an individual decision, by the way. I don't want to be a conflict of interest police sitting on the council saying, well, maybe you should abstain on that, maybe you should abstain on that. So I'm going to continue that practice. For the most part, it has not hurt our decision making, and I think it's just a good practice for me to have, and I want to be a good role model for people about if there is a conflict of interest, you acknowledge it and declare it and move forward.